Hey, this is Chris. Online, I go by Permaculture FX. Welcome to the March 2026 Homestead Huddle, where we talk about all things farming and homesteading and gardening, food foresting, permaculture, and all the things in between. I want to especially thank this month the Patreon community. It's your monthly support and partnership through our Homestead Mentorship Program that allows videos like this to be accessible to the general public. And it's also your amazing questions that we answer every month during these Homestead Huddles. Now, if you are new to the huddle, the way that most people use this is they're either farm owners, they're farm managers, they have a small homestead or a farmette on their property, and they want to just kind of connect around a table. I usually drink coffee or tea, and just talk about the things that we are thinking about this month. So the questions that we'll get to in the second half of our programming time are all questions that came from real homesteaders, real farmers, real food foresters from all over the US. A couple of them are from abroad, so a couple of them are from Norway. We've got two families from South Korea. So excited to jump into these questions. Before we get started with the questions, every month I like to talk about the top 3 things to be thinking about and doing in your local growing zone. Now, I'm referring to the USDA growing zone, so if you are listening abroad, by now you kind of already know your USDA growing zone comparatively. But you always want to check with local resources because there are nuances. So for example, in our top 3 for zones 3 through 8, there's going to be nuances that are different in Michigan that are, not quite as comparable to Kansas City, Missouri. So even though they're maybe the same growing zone, there could be a couple weeks variation. So you always want to defer to your local resources. But generally speaking, we're talking about a week or two, a week, 2.5 weeks at most. So over the course of the entire month, the things that farmers and homesteaders are thinking about in those zones are going to be very similar. So the way that we'll start out is going to take about 5 or 10 minutes, go through the top 3 things for the cold climate zones, and then we'll do the top 3 things for the warmer climate zones, subtropical, tropical, dry, arid regions. And then we're going to jump into questions. And this month there were 11 different questions. Those are going to be in the description below. So if they're not all applicable to you, you can fast forward to the various timestamps or to that question and just get the answer for those questions. So whether it's you and your spouse or you and a farm manager or your whole farm staff that's listening, hopefully these questions will be helpful to you as we dive in. So to get started, I want to jump into the top 3 things for growing zones 3 through 8. So you're in the colder climate, the temperate growing zones. What are the top 3 things that you should be thinking about this time of year in the month of March? Now, I grew up in Michigan. I lived 17 years in Kansas City. I'm very familiar with cold, like Arctic cold. And so to me, this is like old hat. And this is the month in March where you develop spring fever and you're finally seeing some growth. I got a picture the other day from my mom and dad up in Michigan, and that's like the cold zone 5. And they're seeing crocus come up, and they're seeing the hellebores, the Lenten rose, they're seeing the muscari and some of the starts of the daffodils that are coming. So spring is in the air. Now, this time of year for y'all, you could get a 50-degree day and then the next day it's 17 degrees. So you don't want to jump in full bore or put all of your eggs in one basket. You want to plan for the best, but brace yourself for the worst. So if I were still living in Kansas City right now this month, first of all, I would be planting my nightshades indoors, probably using grow lights. Most people don't have bright enough sunlight, even in a south or a west facing window, to really be able to let those plants grow in a healthy way. They get tall, they get lanky, they start flopping over too soon. So I really recommend doing grow lights. If you've got a little grow chamber, that's fine too, but increase the light to like 12 to 14 hours a day so your plants stay a little shorter, a little bushier, so when you bring them outside and start hardening them off, they don't start falling over. But now is the time, thank God, to start planting those nightshades. So you're thinking of tomatoes and peppers and eggplants. You're getting those warm season ones ready now. And I realize it's gonna be a couple months, but remember, you want those to be good and healthy and strong before you set them out for hardening. So you really need the next 2.5 months to let them come to full maturity and full size. So that's thing number one, plant those nightshades indoors. Number two is order or purchase, if you haven't already, your soil amendments. So you're thinking of blood meal to push that initial green growth. You're bringing in compost. What kind of compost? It doesn't matter. I like, mushroom compost in the food forest and like manure based in the vegetable gardens, but honestly, compost is compost. If you're gonna add anything, you've got a limited budget, compost. It's the most bioavailable, it's light enough, it's building the organic soil structure of your soil. Now, if you're really getting past that danger of frost or approaching that last frost date, I would be starting to apply tree tone or plant tone. I like Espoma Organics is my kind of brand of choice. I'm not sponsored by them, by the way. But if you are in Patreon, I did put a list of all of the organic places where I buy them from. So you can quick link and quick reference those. If you're not in Patreon, you can check it out. There's a free 7-day trial with an all access pass, but you can always sign up as a free member and just get the basics. So the third thing that I would be doing in those colder climate zones is spring tool maintenance. So it's time to start getting out weed whackers, mowers, checking the chainsaw, some of those smaller 2-cycle engines I'm checking. I'm oiling my tools, my shovels, my rakes, my pitchforks. I'm getting off any rust that may have accumulated during the winter months. If there's any carburetor cleaning that needs to be done, I'm running a little brush through those. I always, the first time I fire those up, I put in my fresh gas because I'm not using the old junk, and I put in like a little capful of sea foam because it just cleans everything out going into the season. I know that I often do it in the fall, clean it for the fall, and then I clean it again in the winter. That first time I fire it up in the springtime, I love to add that sea foam. The little cap full in a little 2-cycle engine really makes a big difference. So I really recommend that. So those 3 things, again, you're doing nightshade planting, you're ordering and purchasing your soil amendments and fertilizers for the spring. And then number 3, you're doing your spring tool maintenance time. And if you do only 3 things this month, those are the 3 things that you need to be doing. So if you are in USDA zones 9 through 11, there's a lot to be thinking about this month. So let's boil it down to our 3 things that we are doing this month in USDA zones 9 through 11. First of all, we are amending and fertilizing in our food forest right now. You are in prime time, and I've got that whole list of the amendments, fertilizers, foliar sprays that I use in Patreon. You can just click on that post, quick reference those. I do not make a kickback from those. Those are just the links that I use. So you're doing foliar sprays right now. So think of fish emulsion, sea kelp, basic H. You're doing compost, tea fertilizers, worm casting, as your foliar sprays. I'm going gung-ho now. We're just getting past that last frost dates. The 30-day forecast is looking great. It's all above 45 degrees. So I'm fertilizing everything. So right now, the first and foremost, get in that food forest. And if you're in Florida, it was a brutal, brutal winter. And those fruit trees, those berry bushes, they need the extra help right now to rebound coming into the next growing season. Item number 2 that I would be thinking about this month, if I can only do 3 things in zones 9 through 11, is pasture management and getting my field planting started. So there are so many things that you can be planting right now in the pastures. I like to do the mixes that are already done, whether you're using greencovercrops.com or whatever it is, or Hancock Seed Company. I look for a mix that has like no less than 5. I mean, even that's really low. I like to look for like 10 or 12 things that are in that seed mix. But I'm planting almost everything right now. The only thing that I'm not planting right now, behind chicken tractors, throwing behind, livestock in general, I'm not doing my sun hemp yet. I want to wait till April 1st to drill in any sun hemp or plant that, because that really needs the evening temps to always be consistently above 50 degrees. It gets real mad if you don't wait quite long enough. But if you haven't ordered your sun hemp, There may still be some left. A lot of seed companies run out of it because it is incredible for cattle, for livestock, for goats, for sheep, for horses, you name it. Even for fields that are in rest. I mean, man, that is like the one thing I'd be planting in those fields. So the second thing we're doing is pasture management and field planting. And if you can, consider resting one of your pastures. Every year you should be resting one pasture. And I'm talking no grazing, no rotating. You're just letting it rest. Now, yes, plant a bean, a pea, a legume, plant that sun hemp, plant cow peas or field peas. Definitely plant those nitrogen fixers in the field. Let it rest for a year. If you can't, or won't is a better word, if you won't give up an entire pasture for whatever reason that is, consider this. Section off a pasture. Take some hot wire, run it down, 20 feet or 30 feet out from a fence and rest a section of it. Rest a corner of the pasture and section off that one corner for the year and just let it rest. Your pastures will thank you. I know it's hard to think about in the short term, but in the long term, you will have more abundance. You'll have healthier soil, and healthier soil means healthier pastures. Healthier pastures mean healthier animals and livestock, which also goes into your body. So the third thing that I would be doing this month is ordering my spring compost and wood chips if you haven't done it yet. People right now are doing tree trimming. They're getting things cleaned up for the growing season. These tree trimming companies are going crazy right now. You go down the side of the roads and they're cleaning out under the power lines. There are so many wood chips available right now. I would say get that ordered. If you're not doing it on Chip Drop or you're not buying it from a company, then just drive up to a tree trimming company. If they're mulching in the back of their truck and throwing it in, pull up next to the truck and go, hey, I got $50 cash I'll give you if you bring that to my house when you're done. They will almost always do it. Do not be a cheapskate. Give them $50, give them $75, because here's the reality. If you order wood chips right now, a dump truck from a company, you're going to be paying $500 to $800, depending on where you are and what kind of wood chips, for a dump truck of wood chips. So give them $50 to $80. Like, don't be a cheapskate. Get the good stuff, get it delivered to your house, and you'll be super happy and good to go. So again, those three things we're doing in zones 9 through 11, amending and fertilizing in the food forest. We're doing our foliar sprays. Number 2, we're doing pasture management and field planting. And number 3, we are ordering our spring compost and wood chips and start applying now. So it's time to jump into the questions. This is my favorite. I've got my green tea here ready. I'm gonna take a little sip quick. Oh, that's so good. It's like, when you take a drink of your tea or your coffee and it hits. And that sip just hit. So I'm gonna be sipping this throughout. So if this is your first time here, our questions every month come from the Patreon community. So this is where I do all of my farming and homestead mentorship. So we do classes. I think we're at 40 or 50, full length classes. I'm talking between 30 minutes and an hour and a half. I mean, these classes are really long. They're very in-depth. It's basically like getting a permaculture design course at your own pace. And so there's almost 50 classes. There's 55 PDFs in the document library, massive resource library. We have a community chat area where we all interact. We can ask questions on the go. You got a sick animal. You've got a tree that got diseased. You've got a soil question. You see a weird fungus, whatever. We dialogue pretty much multiple times a day within the community chat. So if you are not a member on Patreon, love to have you jump in. Even if it's at the free level, it's just fun. It's a good resource, a good way to connect. And honestly, it gets you out of the Facebook drama. I just can't do the Facebook groups. They're killing me, Smalls. They're killing me. I get so triggered in those groups. I mean, there are just, I'd like to say there's ignorant people, but there's just so much stupidity in those groups of people that know things that are true, like using pesticides and Roundup and this junk in our fields. And no matter what scientific research that you give, they still, nope, I'm doing it I just can't. I get too triggered. There's not enough coffee in the world to have me go back and interact on a daily basis in those groups. I'll go back in once or twice a week, and that's about all your boy can handle. So Here are our questions for the month. And again, you can look down in the description, find the ones that you want to listen to, or you can just stick your earbuds in. I listen to these podcast kind of things when I'm around the house and doing yard work. I'll just put them in my earbuds and go to town. Earbuds. No earbugs, please. That would just freak me out. I put them in my earbuds and I just walk around and I listen to a lot of podcasts these days. And also, if you're not listening to the Obsessed with Plants podcast with David and I, jump in. It's on every podcast platform. Just type in Obsessed with Plants and you'll find us there. The topic this month was fun. The one he just released, we're trying to do twice a month, is do you have to mulch forever? Like, should you be mulching gardens or food forests long term? And it was a really fun, deep dive, and they're super nerdy. So if you're not into the nerdy thing, just skip the podcast. But if you like the nerdy stuff, jump in with us. So let's jump in. Question number 1 this month. How long should we wait to replace a tree that is not coming back from the roots? Now, if you're in USDA zones 3 through 8, most of your trees are still sleeping. You might be getting a few. I know in Kansas City, they're getting Eastern Redbud getting started, and some of the plums are getting started. But you're probably not going to even bat an eye until the 1st or mid-May. Now, if you get to in May and your stuff isn't coming back from the roots and the cold climate, time to start doing the scratch test. Like, is this thing going to come back? Now, if you're in zones 9 through 11, because we had a lot of cold, California, you had a lot of dry, this winter. I'm still not worried. I was actually looking at a plant yesterday. What was it? Oh, it was the Royal Poinciana, which I know is like zone 10. I'm in zone 9A, 9B, but I'm still growing it. And it was not coming back yesterday. And it is brown when I scratched the trunk. It's looking bad. Walked out this morning and there is a little green, sprout coming out of the base. It is still coming back. And there's other things that I know are alive. I've done a scratch test. My Java plums. I have a Java plum in Claremont. I've got a Java plum, or jamun, some people call it, here in Crescent City. There's no green. There are no buds, no nothing. But if you scratch it anywhere on my Java plum, it is still green underneath the bark layer in the cambium. It's alive. It's not showing any sign of budding out yet, but I'm going to wait a whole other month. I'm not going to make any rash decisions, right now. So how long to wait right now for Florida? At least another month. I've literally had trees that have come back almost a year later. Like, no joke, almost a year later. I had one, golly gee williker. What was it? Oh, it was a newly planted yellow star cherry, or Patanga tuba. And, I got cocky because we all make mistakes and are stupid. Well, you're not stupid. I'm stupid. I made the stupid mistake of planting it in like October, which I know I shouldn't do, but I did it anyway. This is a couple years back, like 3 years ago. And of course it got cold and it died back, no sign of life. And it literally got to be, I think it was Labor Day weekend, like almost a full year later. And all of a sudden I'm walk by and there's like 4 or 6 inch growth spurts coming out of the base, and it was coming back. And obviously now it's, grown back, it's 3 or 4 feet tall and it's already producing fruit. Last year it had an abundance of fruit on it. So, it could come back a year later. So don't lose hope. It is still way too early to, determine if it's going to come back. Question number 2. What are some tips on creating a microclimate around more cold sensitive areas? So this is applicable not just in the subtropics. This is very applicable even in Michigan and Kansas City and Wisconsin or Minnesota, creating those microclimates. Sepp Holter was growing citrus in the Swiss Alps. I kid you not. It's fully documented. You can create microclimates. Now, if you're in the north or the Midwest, I would be thinking along the lines of evergreen that are not going to promote apple cedar rust. So unfortunately, like cedar trees, arborvitaes, they create a fungus that spreads to a lot of stone fruit. So your apple, peach, pear, plum, nectarine, plums, mainly apples and pears are the worst offenders. But it spreads this disease. So I don't ever use cedar or arborvitae as my wind barrier. So think of things like hollies, any of the hollies that are native or the naturalized species. or pine trees that are in the pinus species. Like white pine is a great one. Super easy, great wind barrier, soft, really nice pine needles that are just very, very soft, and it makes a really good tea in the middle of winter, high in antioxidants. You can feed white pine to your goats, to your sheep, to your cows. Deer will eat it. So to me, it's like, I really like the white pine, but think along your evergreens. Now, if you are in the South, we also want to be thinking about creating our microclimate using wind barriers. Some of my favorite ones, clumping bamboos. I know it's controversial, but they stay clumped. I mean, I have 80-some-year-old friends that have clumps of bamboo. Like one of them has Alphonse Carr, one of them has Graceful, one of them has, I don't even know what it is, Richard Waldron maybe. It's not even identified. And they're, 80 years old, and those clumps are only 15, 20 feet across. So not all bamboos are runners. So I think those are a great choice for zones 9 through 11 because they create this wonderful barrier. Planting that on the north and the east side are going to block the worst winds. And you want to keep these a minimum of 20 feet away from your food forest because you don't want them encroaching on one another. You don't want to shade out your food forest when you're creating the microclimate. So when you get to the max height of the bamboo is going to be 25 feet tall. Lean it over, and you want to make sure that your food forest is on the other side of that 20 or 25 feet. So if you have like dwarf graceful, that's only going to be 10 or 12, feet tall, lay it down. You can go out 15 or 20 feet, and that's where you can do your first, fruit trees around it. But north and west side. Now, if you are opposed or, you don't want the bamboo, some native options, I would say Simpson stopper is going to be one of the best. It is native, it's evergreen. When you rub the leaves, it kind of smells like eucalyptus, is really nice. A non-native option would be, what's it called? Yerba mate. Makes a great tea. If you want another tea plant, any of the holly, so Dahoon holly, Eagleston holly, Yaupon holly, all make really excellent windbreaks. But again, I focus on the north and the east side when I'm planting those to create a microclimate. Question number 3, after cutting bananas to the ground, should we cover them with mulch? Easy answer, no. So when you cut your bananas to the ground, I usually go up just a smidgen. If you go all the way down, that's fine. I go up just a smidgen. Here's the key. You want to carve in there, like a rice knife and a machete are like some of my favorite gardening tools. I take my rice knife and I carve like a little cone-shaped bowl in the middle of that banana. And so the stump, basically. So what happens is that's going to fill up with water, and that water is going to prevent any borers and termites and bugs from getting into that cut off banana, which they will go down into your corm and make your other bananas sick. So you don't want to just cover them with wood chips. If you did, that's fine. Just pull the wood chips back. Take your rice knife or a kitchen knife or whatever, carve that little cone-shaped bowl into the middle, a couple inches deep, and then just dump some water in it, and then that will seal itself off. And then just let your other bananas come up around the edge. So you do not need to cut your bananas yet. I have not even pruned anything back. I'm getting ready to probably in the next 2 weeks, but I haven't chopped anybody down. And for bananas, the ones that I chop down, I bring them to other fruit trees like peaches, my nectarines, avocados, because it's full of water and it's potassium and it's phosphorus, it's minerals. Like those trunks of bananas are composting gold. So if you don't have to have a super neat look, this is my fruit tree. I'll just start edging like a little circle around the drip line of the fruit tree, and then I'll put my mulch or whatever in it, almost like a rock border, but it's banana trunks because they just break down so fast and so nice, and they are so full of nutrients. Like what a great fertilizer for your garden or your food forest. Garden 2. Number 4, what are beneficial nematodes good for, and are they worth the money to buy? I think the question also being asked here is how do you overcome RKN, which is the root knot nematode? So in the southern climates, California, Texas, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, we all got these root knot nematodes, and the entire scientific kingdom of nematoda is not bad. In fact, there's like 34,000, different varieties or subspecies of this. There's only a handful, a very, very small percentage of them that are what we call bad nematodes. Now, their function is all the same. Nematodes are building soil structure. Root knot nematodes, what they do, just so we understand, is that they are going after the weak plants, the ones that are the weakest in the system. They kill them, so it basically composts in the soil. Their job is a precursor species to go kill the weak stuff, so that way nature can have a stronger soil structure and soil biology in the long run. So if you don't want the root knot nematodes, you've got to mimic what they're doing. Do their job for them. So add compost, add mulch, and add wood chips, and add straw and hay, lasagna and layer mulching. So if you want to beat the root knot nematodes, the first and foremost thing you need to do is do their job for them, because once they're done, the good nematodes come in and the good soil biology comes in. So if you do their job for them, they're almost going to be a non-issue. Now, if you want to really get ahead of the game, beneficial nematodes, you can buy them on Amazon even. And sometimes they're wet. Usually it's a dry, and then you can add it either to a water sprayer or you can just sprinkle it on, soil. That does work by introducing the good nematodes. However, you do still want to focus on building your soil structure. So those beneficial nematodes, you're not going to apply them and go, 6 months later, I got killer soil. You're probably not going to notice a difference unless you have a microscope. But on the microbiology of the soil, it really is going to help increase that organic matter in your soil in the long run. And the beneficial ones will overpopulate the bad ones. So I would say it's a two-tiered approach. If you want to beat root knot nematodes, increase your organic matter first and then apply the good soil biology, whether that's beneficial nematodes or probiotics or both and. Either are going to be great options. Question number 5. When are bare root trees a good option? When are they practical? When are they not practical? So what's meant here by bare root trees is, you go to a nursery and you buy these, the black pots full of soil, got your fruit tree berry bush in it. There are some companies like Hartman's is a good one if you're only in the northern climates. They don't do anything for the south, and it's Hartmanns. Hartman's has some really good bare root plants. I love foodforestnursery.com. There's a link for that on my website that you can use. And I am an affiliate with them, so I do get a kickback from the company. So I just want to say that in the forefront. So those are a really good option because you save money on soil. Like you don't have to buy the soil that the greenhouse or the nursery is selling you. So I can get a lot more trees for the same price. So for example, the other day I was looking at pawpaw trees and ordering them bare root. I can get 2.5 pawpaw trees bare root for the same price as 1 pawpaw tree that's already potted up. I'm going with the bare root and I'm going to do it myself because I don't need to spend that much money for the greenhouse's soil when I am more than capable of doing that on my own. So if you are capable of potting them up and waiting for 1 to 3 months, it's about how long it takes for them to kind of root in, develop some good root structure, flush out some leaves. If you're capable of that and keeping them watered, I would say bare root is the way to go. It's going to be cheaper. It's going to be cheaper, honestly, and you'll get way more bang for your buck. Now, it does not impact the amount of time it takes to produce because most of them are berry bushes or they're grafted anyway. And so you just basically let it sit. I mean, you got to water it. You know what I mean? If you're so busy, you can't water a plant for a month or 2 months or 3 months, bare root's not going to be for you. Bare roots almost never work by taking the bare root plant, shoving it in the ground in the soil, and just planting it immediately. It's very hard on the tree. Very, very hard on the tree. Is it possible? Yes. I don't have as good of luck with that. I had terrible luck with that when I was in Kansas City. But I had perfect luck. I mean, almost 100% record, rooting them into a pot myself. In Florida, it's about 50-50. Kind of depends on if we're getting good amount of rain, but if they dry out and you've got them bare root in that sand, yeah, that homeboy's dead. So that's my thoughts on bare root. I love it. I think it's a great option. I just, placed 2 massive orders. I did one that I sent to my parents in Michigan because we gotta have more fruit trees up there. And then I did one that I'm having sent to Florida. So I love that option because I love potting them up. I pray over them. I get to do my certain soil mixes that I really enjoy. So for me, it's the way to go. Number 6, my Pickering mango, which by the way is a great mango choice. I think this was Southern Latitudes that asked this question, I believe. And if you are not following Southern Latitudes on YouTube, she has a really great channel. Robin is a wealth of knowledge. And so if you're not following her, I would say when you're done with this video, or pause this one, better yet, and go follow her right now. She's a great backyard, gardener. Pickering mango that she's talking about here, I believe that was her, is one of my favorite mangoes. She's a semi-dwarf variety. So Pickering will get to be 8 to 10 feet tall, probably, but the mango is a full-size mango. It's this citrusy pineapple flavor. It's not fibrous. It is not astringent. It is super sweet, super juicy, hard to find. I got mine at a natural farm, and I believe Lonnie Reed at the Reed Farm has had them as well. But Pickering, one of my all-time favorites. So her question here is, my Pickering mango is dead on the top and on the east side. Again, it's that north and east wind that's brutal. The west side looks okay. How do I prune this? Should I go for symmetry? I would say still wait on your pruning. I'm not going to prune any of my mangoes back until probably April 1st. Come April 1st, I'm going to definitely prune off the dead. And I'm going to go branch by branch. I'm going to cut it, see if it's green on the inside. Cut it, see if it's green on the inside. I'm going to cut all the brown until I get green. When it's green, it's good. Then I'm going to stand back and I'm going to look at the tree and go, does this look stupid? Now, if I've got a massive tree over here and this little stumpy over here, I'm probably going to prune this back, but I don't want to do a whole lot. Probably only 25% this year. Let that fill in. Let it maybe fruit. It probably won't fruit this year. And then the next year kind of balance things out. But I wouldn't do more than 25% of the green growth. The tree's already accommodated itself or acclimated itself to losing all of those other branches. But remember, if you lost a lot of branches this year, you've got to feed. Those trees are taking up a ton of nutrients because they are in repair mode. I mean, it's kind of like having a pregnant wife, that she is supporting a lot. She is going through a lot. Her body is going through a lot. If it's trying to produce fruit on that fruit tree, it's like she's carrying 30 babies. You know what I mean? So that mama tree, she's going to need some pickles in the middle of the night. She's going to need that extra chocolate. She's going to need the compost. She's going to need foliar spray. She's going to need the fertilizer. She's going to need, you to pee at the base of the fruit tree. These fruit trees are going to need our extra help. If they got really damaged, we got to up our game. So that's my thought. The other thing to answer that question, because that east side or northeast side got blasted so bad, I would also just consider what could you plant or do to increase the protection on that side. It might be growing something taller along the top of the fence. It might be bamboo or yerba mate. You could even consider, 10 or 12 feet away, putting an in-ground, those polypropylene black plastic in-ground ponds, that just has a water feature or whatever in it, and grow some fun water plants, because that water will actually help heat the soil that's around it. Not a long ways, but it heats it a little bit. That water, when it stays warm, is going to help a little bit around that little microclimate. You could also think of some rocks on that side, maybe a big rock, a feature rock, and it happens to be a darker color, like a black or a gray, because that rock is going to create radiant heat. That's one of the ways that Sepp Holzer was growing citrus in the Alps, is he actually painted rocks black around the trees, and he would literally use that black radiant heat. Now in Florida, terrible idea to use a lot of rocks around our trees. You're just using this like winter time or whatever, but it does help. It creates that microclimate. Or consider a compost pile, that you put on that north or east side of that mango tree to help create that radiant heat from the compost pile. And that will also help give a little bit of bang for the buck. So question number 7, what are some do's and don'ts for staking trees? To be honest, I almost never stake, almost never. Couple reasons why I would. So one, around the city of Crescent City, I was recently a part of the city's project of putting in over 35 native trees all over the city in city parks and walkways, in the rookery, the area for bird watching. And we are going back and kind of staking some of those because they're park plants, they're city. The little leans just, they're not appealing to some people. In a home garden, I don't care if it's leaning a little bit. I think it adds character. I think it adds a unique aspect to the tree. When I go into a forest or look at these old growth trees, they're funky. I call them funky trunkies. And actually my friends Madison and Andrew at Flowing Well Tree Farm in Pearson, Florida, they do all native fruit trees and a lot of edibles as well. They sell funky trunkies at a great price. And so if you can get a funky trunkie, I like them. I think it adds the fun character to them. So if it's in a commercial area or the front of your house and it needs to be perfectly staked, I would say do it when necessary and do it for a very short term. So when you do it, never, number one, use rope. If you do have to use rope, feed an old garden hose length around it and let the garden hose protect the trunk, because that rope is going to have friction against the trunk that's going to damage the bark, and we don't want to mess with damaging our bark. So protect the trunk. The better option is to use straps, and even then I'll take an old t-shirt and I'll wrap it around it so the straps don't rub too much on the trunk and damage my bark. Generally speaking, I would say no more than 6 to 9 months that I'm going to leave the straps on the tree. That's all it takes to really let that tree start getting rooted in. The reason why I don't leave it longer is because what creates a stronger tree is when the wind blows and it moves that tree trunk ever so slightly. It's just like moving our muscles. Our muscles don't get strong by us using a walker all the time or using crutches all the time. And those straps on a tree are essentially a walker or crutches. Do they get the job done? Yeah, but primarily just when you're sick. You don't want to live your life utilizing that because the muscles get weaker. In the tree world, the trunk gets weaker. So the cambium, phloem, and the xylem layers of the tree are not able to send that water in a way and move in a way that creates a stronger wood in the trunk of the tree. So if you want a stronger tree, you actually want it to be moving a little bit in the wind. When you do the strapping, I would say never do it super tight. Never adjust more than about 5 degrees to 10 degrees at a time. So you want to do it very, very gradually over time. The only time I really stake trees in Florida is if they're newly planted and there's like a hurricane coming. And then I'm like, okay, I better stake this guy. And I always use like 3, around it to really kind of stabilize it. But those are some of my thoughts as far as staking. But generally, I would say I don't leave the straps on very long at all. And for the most part, if it came with a stake in the tree, I leave it on there for about 3 months, 6 months, and then I take it off because most of the time it's doing nothing. It's rotted off below ground. And those straps around the tree, as the tree grows, it girdles it. So I typically take them off. So question number 8. When a tree or a plant dies, should we remove the roots of it as well? I would say probably not. My thought process is this. Though aesthetically, it's going to look better to have perfectly clean soil, below the soil, there's already microorganisms, there's earthworms, there's probiotics, there's bacteria, there's beneficial nematodes, there's protozoa. There's all these awesome things in the biology of my soil that are around the roots because the roots are exchanging sugars and mycorrhizal fungi. I don't want to take that root ball out of the soil and disrupt all the goodness that's there. So it's going to rot anyway. So I would say let it rot in place. And I do that a lot in my garden. Like I don't ever rip out my tomatoes and peppers. I just cut them off and I leave the roots to rot in the soil because I want the biology. Question number 9. Will dune sunflowers and Cuban oregano come back from the roots? And this person is in Florida. Dune sunflower is a native. It will more than likely come back. I can't say 100% yes because it's always different in every microclimate. but they are very slow to come back. Cuban oregano, even slower to come back. What was the other one I was looking at the other day? Toilet paper plant or blue spur, Plectranthus barbados. So that one is literally dead all the way on top. But I dug down the other day and I scratched around the roots and they're still green. There's no sign of green growth coming up in leaves, but they are going to come back. It just takes them a lot longer. I would say on those smaller understory herbaceous plants, those are the ones that it is safe. It's brown, it's down. Go ahead and cut those back. Put a stake in there so you remember where it was, but go ahead and clean up that area because those understory herbaceous plants, they don't come back in the same way. They're mostly going to come back from the root. So I would say go ahead and clean it up. It's time to clean things up. Give it to chickens or throw it in the compost pile, bury it in the garden somewhere. But definitely leave the roots. But it could be another month and a half before those things start coming back. So I don't expect them anytime in the next week or two. Number 10, if my new wood chips smell strongly, for example, of pine, can I use them right away? So the thing that you're smelling is a terpene. So terpenes are like, in lavender, the terpene is called lavandin, or in lemon trees, it's L-limonene. In pine trees, it's L-pinene is the terpene, and those are what gives it the fragrance. Now, they can affect various things in the soil. So, for example, pine tree, L-pinene, is not going to be alleliopathic, meaning it's not going to kill all of the plants that you put it on. However, what L-pinene is known for is it can mess with the pH for about a month. So your soil might get slightly more acidic for about a month. So if you've got an area like jabuticaba, olive trees, pineapples, grapes, things that love acidic soil, blueberries, I would use that right now on all of those because that L-pinene is going to give you a temporary shift to the more acidic end of the spectrum. It's going to lower your pH just while that L-pinene is leaching. It doesn't take very long to leach away. So if you're worried about it, let it sit for a few weeks or a month, rotate the pile, turn it a couple times, and it should be fine in a few weeks. The one tree that I would not do immediately with if you smell it is camphor. So the terpene in camphor is alleliopathic, and that will inhibit the growth of other plants, including your food forest plants. So it's not like you can't ever use camphor trees for your mulch. You can, but I would let them sit for a while or use them immediately, use them in pathways, areas where you want to suppress weeds, you want to suppress growth, I would focus there. But camphor is really the only one. Pine trees I don't worry about because it's a very, very mild pH difference, which actually brings me to the Facebook rumor that if you want to acidify your soil, use pine needles. That is an absolute myth. I mean, it does not take a scientist to figure this out. You can literally pH test it yourself. The only time pine needles will acidify your soil is when they are fresh and they're green. The moment they turn brown, their pH work is done and the soil goes back almost to normal. So yes, it does affect the pH of your soil, but only when the needles are green, and it's only for a couple weeks or a month. It's just so short. So that's why these Facebook groups drive me nuts, is it's not good information. Don't even get me started on AI. I need something stronger than tea to go on my AI rant. I should just go on the AI rant right now, but I'm gonna resist. I'm gonna be good because we're on our last question. So number 11, what to do when my frangipani or plumeria tree has died back or been damaged in the freeze? I would say the answer to this is going to be similar to chaya or the Mexican tree spinach, very similar, growth structure and properties. If it's rotting, go ahead and cut it back. They're not going to repair themselves from rot. Cut it back. I've got one plumeria or frangipani that I've cut back all the way to the ground. It may come back, it may not. There's no way to tell on those. They're going to be very late. I would say probably May before we determine if those are going to be salvageable or not. Now, I will say this. Hopefully you listen to the Homestead Huddle in September and October when we talked about take your insurance cuttings. Because if you took your insurance cuttings, even if those ones in the ground died, you've still got your mother plants. I was actually looking today, right before this, at my insurance cutting area. And because I've got ones that got hit hard, my Abelmescus manihots. Did I say that right? Abelmescus. Yeah, Abelmescus manihots, my tree spinaches got brutally hit. Like Southsea salads, anti-lilies, chief cobos, the large leaf that I got from Cody Cove, which is awesome. Tastes so good. They got brutally damaged. I'm talking they got their butts whipped. So thankfully, I listened to myself in September, October. I got my insurance cuttings. I did another round of cuttings before the freeze, and they're almost all living. So the insurance cuttings are great. I checked my trees outside, not looking good. They may not come back from the roots, but that's fine. I got my insurance cuttings. I did what I was supposed to. Same with longevity spinach, Okinawa, Suriname. I'm good on, I think, all of those. I was really happy because I had an unusually high amount of daisy tree. That's the one that the flower smells like chocolate chip cookie dough. Usually I have a terrible success rate with those cuttings, and it was like 9 out of 10. Like literally like 9 out of 10 pots have actual green growth. They're doing really good. What was the other one I was just looking at that looks amazing? Oh, Brazilian red cloak. Fan-freaking-tastic. I hate, what's it called? Bougainvillea. I don't even know how to say it because I hate the tree that much. That awful, it's pretty pink flower, but with those vines of death. I mean, you got to wear, I'm talking middle ages, not middle age like me, but middle ages, Renaissance era body armor, leave me alone. Renaissance era body armor to prune these things because you get thrashed like a horror movie with those bougainvillea vines. See, I can't even say the name of it because I don't like the plant that much. However, Brazilian red cloak gets very similar blooms. It's a bush structure. It's super cold hardy, up to like zone 8B. And there's no thorns. And I have just fallen in love with it. And it grows in mostly sun all the way to full crazy shade under an oak tree. And I like it under the oak because it brings the hummers, the hummingbirds into that area, which is also kind of fun. So one of my new favorites, but those cuttings are coming back. They're green, they're pushing new growth. So I'm so excited. So hopefully the question about the frangipani and plumeria, hopefully you've got your insurance cutting and you're able to get that in the ground now. Get in a pot, let it start leafing out before you plant it. Same thing with the chaya, and you should be sitting pretty good to go. So those are all of our questions for the month of March. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to this. Put it in your earbuds, not your earbugs. Kind of join us, on this question and answer journey. It's always fun to go through these questions. So if you are not in Patreon, love for you to jump in, even if it's just as a free member, so you can engage in the chat with us. It's a really beneficial place to connect with people that are really doing it, that are real farmers, real homesteaders, real food forest owners. There's some incredibly knowledgeable people in there. Robin, that I just mentioned, is just such a wealth of knowledge. I follow and listen to her YouTube all the time. So it's a really fun place to be. So thanks again. If you would take just a minute, like the video, make sure that you've subscribed, leave a comment for us because it helps get that information out to people that it would be beneficial to, but it also really helps me as a channel. This is my job. This is what I do, is I try to help farmers and homesteaders. So anytime that you comment or like on a video, it really is a blessing to me, and I want to say thank you for that. So hopefully this was helpful to you. As always, have fun, and I will see you soon in the garden.